Hey guys, what's going on? We have another episode of the Hoping Mum and Dad podcast for you today. Today's episode is number 22, and we talk to Chrissy and Tori, a really awesome pair of human beings who happen to be in a same-sex relationship. And this is, we dig into all the stuff, talking about like their options and their journey with IVF and starting a family. It was a really good episode. So personal stuff with myself and Becky. We haven't really got too much to talk about. Obviously, if you've been listening along, then well, even if you haven't been listening along, you know that coronavirus is, a bit of an issue, causing lots of problems with everything. So
we're still waiting.
But on top of that, there's obviously a lot of problems. Emissions are going up. It's not a good.
Yeah, and I'm on half term, so I've got a lot of time to think about waiting.
Yep.
So yeah, and also it's winter, so my lips are dry, and we've just had like a million takes because I've just been doing the wrong thing while we were recording.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how many of those takes Becky was responsible for ruining by putting in like some of the outtakes, and we'll put them on the Instagram account.
Maybe.
No, definitely. People need to know who I'm working with.
The mess that you're working with.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So we have got nothing to tell. We're still waiting, which sucks, but
don't let
life.
our low energy put you off, because we've got an amazing podcast episode with two amazing people coming up.
A great chat, yeah. So enjoy listening to our chat with Chrissy and Tori. And on Instagram, they are at mybun_heroven. So please go and check them out and give them a follow.
So you can catch up with those guys on the social links that we just mentioned. We'll put them on the screen, and we'll also put them in the description below. But also, we just wanted to ask, and this sounds pretty needy, but if you do appreciate what we're doing and putting content out and people that we have on, and us just sort of telling you about our journey, which is obviously not moving that fast at the moment, but if you appreciate what we're doing, it would mean the world to us if you could leave us, if you could like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, if that's how you watch. If you listen to the podcast on iTunes, if you could leave a review or stars or wherever the thing is for that, and the same for Spotify. But basically, if you could just like tell the people that we distribute this through to that you're listening, because if you're like me, you just forget. It's not on your radar at all. So I'm just politely asking.
Maybe you could pause the episode now and do it.
Yeah. And then obviously come straight back, obviously, because we've got an amazing episode with these two wonderful human beings.
Yeah.
Chrissy and Tori.
Yeah. Enjoy the chat. So hi, Tori and Chrissy. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. How are you?
You're very welcome.
Can you tell us a little bit about both of you? I found you on Instagram, and your handle is something like, let me see if I can remember, at herbun_myoven, or close to that. Is it?
Yeah, that's it. That's about
Is it?
My bun her oven.
Oh yeah, perfect. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, because obviously I know, but our listeners don't know who you are and what you've been up to.
Yeah, go for it. No, go on. No, you go. I'm Chrissy. This is Tori. We are a couple, and we are going through an IVF journey at the moment. So we started an Instagram page just to try and reach out and see what other people were doing, offer some advice, get some advice ourselves, and that's how we met you guys.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, the Instagram community, isn't it? Because it's so supportive. There's so many people out there, and it's just a nice way to document what you go through, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. Like, there's so many, when you put a hashtag on, there's so many posts, isn't there? And then followers grow quite. There's so many people going through it. It's been a real eye opener for us, I think.
We were having that discussion just before. You don't realise that people are going through IVF until you have that shared common goal, I suppose. It wasn't until a few people knew that we were going through IVF that they said, "Oh, actually, our children have been kind of conceived that way." Conceived, is that the right term?
Yeah.
Conceived that way. So it's been really refreshing.
Yeah, because like the figures are unreal. Originally when we first started trying, I'm sure they said like 1 in 8 couples struggle, and then
I've heard that.
But I think it's even more now. I think it's like 1 in 6. So
wow.
There's some interesting theories as to why that's happening as well. Like people are saying, with like air quality and microplastics and pollution in our water supply and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty weird.
Yeah, and I was saying I didn't get around to talking to you about it, Tori, yet. When we were chatting on Instagram, but obviously as a couple yourselves, you need to have intervention to have like a genetic family, didn't you? Like,
because we tried for a good few months until someone told we were doing it wrong.
You found that way funnier than our clinic lady who, like honestly, and you're like you think that's the funniest joke you've ever said, and there was just a tumbleweed on the phone when we said that.
That's when you double down.
But
that's when you go in again with another one. Just as... It's like that Stuart Lee shill bottle joke. Like, I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but what we were talking about was like talking about infertility in education and generally like periods and sexual health and stuff. It's not talked about so much, and people just take it for granted. Like, growing up, everyone's like, oh, don't get pregnant, go on the pill, blah, blah, blah. And then when you actually want to, they find out it's not that easy. But obviously for so many couples, same-sex couples, it's kind of a compulsory component to actually having a genetic family, isn't it? Like, you have to have support. So it's interesting to speak to you both because... just to find out how you're getting. Because
we don't speak to too many same-sex couples. I think you are the first same-sex couples that we've spoken about.
Yeah.
So the bar has been set. This is like a challenge. We need to get more people on.
Yeah, that's like what we've been saying in our previous episodes. There's certain like people that we want to speak to because it's about raising awareness and talking about different journeys and how you've got there. So. Tell us about yourselves. What's been going on?
I think just kind of on that point, like we both had to be mums. Like there's just, and I know for me in particular, I actually didn't come out because I wanted to be a mum, and because I'm 33 now, so things were a lot different. We've seen even the drama around the same-sex couple on Strictly the last couple of weeks. like God, that's
there's people kicking off
all the comments and stuff. But for me, I didn't think I could be gay and a mum, so actually like that's part of the reason why we did the Instagram thing, just to kind of give people points of reference. I mean, I was quite lucky that because I played rugby, so I was
stereotypical.
All right, footballer. So there was lots of kind of people who were slightly older than me who started to have families, and I was like, wow, so that changed my process. But even like quite early on, it's really hard subject, isn't it, to broach with someone? Like you don't want to go to a first date and be like, do you want kids?
Yeah.
But then actually it's quite early on we spoke about it, didn't we?
That was like the first thing Becky said. Hi, I'm Becky. Let's start a family. Do you want a drink?
It's the same thing like you, Chrissy. If you know that but you want to be a mum, so you're like, well, there's no point in wasting your time. So
I think you were very coy about it. You were like, I'm just a free spirit. I like to just travel around, just do my own thing. Like you weren't like that upfront straight away. Just like, I want kids.
But anyway, we interrupted your train of thought. Then so you guys met.
Yes.
And you were like, give me some kids.
Can I ask a question? So you said you've always wanted to be a mum, and you were kind of worried about coming out because you were worried about like the two not being a part of that seemed really odd to me because it just doesn't make, I don't know why, because I'm so naive. I'm just like, why would you think that you couldn't be a mum if you were gay? But obviously biology stuff, I guess, right? Is that what you think?
And I was 18. I grew up in a small town. I can't tell you that I met an openly gay person before the age of 19. And I started going out with the first openly gay person that I met. So I had no points of reference. There was no one on TV. I just didn't think that those two things could exist at the same time. Because there wasn't any like LGBT families or anything. So, and that was quite naive, but that I didn't know like whether or not I knew about adoption and stuff, but I don't know. I think for me, it's go on. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I guess unless you see other same-sex couples adopting and doing all that kind of stuff, then you would think, well, the biological route isn't going to work or isn't going to happen. So, I don't know. It's weird. I'm just that naive that I haven't like thought about, because we're about the same age, so that would be like what, 18, and I was going for you know, just
over 10 years ago.
Yeah. Like, hopefully things are a lot better now, but like that's crazy to think that there wasn't that much in the mainstream about like same-sex
not at all.
Nah, I think gay, and it is getting a lot better, but I think gay people, when they're on the TV, if they are on the TV, they're chaotic, they're promiscuous, you know, very rarely do you see them like settling, you know, it's having stable families. And the BBC did a report which I found really interesting, which was all about how, you know, like what are you getting for your money, and it was just that, you know, like this is the life that you live, and it's going to be going out partying, splitting up other relationships, and it's getting loads better, but there's not very many. It's not exciting to sell. TV
they play into stereotypes, don't they?
Slippers.
Yeah, I think a lot's changed in the last, maybe even in, I was going to say the last 5 years, but in the last 2 years even.
Oh, hugely, yeah.
Like on TV and in popular culture, because before, like you said, there weren't really any same-sex couples represented, or gay relationships on TV or on the radio or in popular culture at all. And if they were usually men, and they were usually, like you said, like super flamboyant and like, oh, this is amazing. Like and,
Elton John.
Yeah, there weren't many gay women.
Is Elton John gay? He's not gay, is he? He's gay.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
All right, it's a joke.
But you know, like it's just so underrepresented, and like you said, so much has changed in the last literally
Modern
couple
Family.
of years.
That's a good reference. Have you seen Modern Family?
I've seen a bit of it.
That's
a good example.
Yeah.
It's got like
I think at the same time it's at risk of going overkill and being rammed down people's throats slightly. Sometimes I don't want to say I cringe, because that makes it sound like I'm not kind of comfortable with being gay, and I totally am. But I think at the same time,
they can ham it up a bit.
They need to tone it down a little bit in some respects as well, and just kind of represent every walk of life evenly.
But I think is there a good example of that around at the moment? Is there like a good fictional or non-fictional kind of representation of like regular same-sex couples with, you know, family stuff? Do you follow
a football reference here? But do you know who Casey Stoney is?
No.
Well, she's current manager of Manchester United Women. She's got twins and then a younger daughter. And they're like normal. We love following their page, because it's kind of it's what we envisage ourselves being kind of further down the line. But again, normal family, not kind of following any of the stereotypes.
So like maybe everything will catch up soon, and like everything will just be like, everyone's normal. This is it.
It won't. It's sad to say, but like until people feel like they don't have to come out, then it's kind of not normal yet, I think, which is a sad thing.
I totally agree.
Once people can just be like, oh yeah, I'm just Becky. Like, not like I'm Becky and I'm straight, or I'm Becky and I'm a lesbian. Like, no one should have to prove themselves or stand up and be like, hi, I have blonde hair. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just part of who you are. It's your genetics and how you feel, isn't it?
So how long was it before when you were going out with each other? Like, first of all, how long have you guys been together?
3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. And you basically had the conversation about having a family pretty quick, yeah?
On day one.
I mean, it was probably not quite day one, but I think we knew each other beforehand through work anyway. I think there's just a vibe. I think you look quite mumsy. Not like you know, you just look at someone, you think, you know what it is, like the way that, because obviously Chrissy works with children and young people, and the way that she interacts with children and young people, I'm like, you'd be a good mom. So I think kind of intuitively knew that.
Yeah.
And then you had a kind of talk about it like pretty early on, because I mean, you know, time goes on, doesn't it? So like if you want to have a family, like, and you know that you want a family, there's no point sort of like dragging it out and wherever.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool. So like you've been together 3 years, you met each other, you were like, yeah, I think we want a family, we both want a family. So what was the next step for you guys? How did you start?
Well, we've got someone that you work with to blame for, I won't name her, but she somebody just at work, we were probably both thinking it, but it was at the start of lockdown, wasn't it? Earlier than
like February time.
And just made like, when are you two gonna have, like, because I go into school quite a lot, they know who I am, like, when are you two gonna have kids? And then you just text us like a bit of a like dangling carrot, like, oh, such and such says, when are you two gonna have kids? And then it ended up like, basically it was like she'd asked us, do you fancy pizza? And I was like, I think I replied saying, I'm game if you are. Literally. Next thing, like all the clinic stuff, we had like this telephone appointment booked. But we're both kind of like, how do you even, I don't know, I'll ask that on you guys. How did you broach that subject?
I love that.
I conceive.
I love that you just were like, yeah, it's like, do you want pizza for tea? Sorry, I just love that.
No one, Tori probably wanted like prepared pizza. Like,
yeah.
We thought that we had those conversations, but we just needed someone to kind of almost like kick us over the finishing line, sort of.
Yeah.
Just to, you know, like you say, we weren't getting any younger.
Kids, I didn't mean to say it like that, but because I hate when people say stuff like that, because I think it stresses people out. Oh, you know, what, you're gonna have kids, you're not getting any younger, kind of thing. But like, there is a kind of, you know, a serious point in that, like, fertility stuff works better when you're slightly younger and stuff.
Yeah.
But kids are good for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll say like, Miss, when are you gonna have kids? Or,
yeah. Well, for us, like, we were. I think we got married, and I think for me, that was literally like, okay, you know, tick. Now I just need a baby.
Bagged him.
I bagged him. He's mine now. I can just like, let's go.
I proposed to you quite sharpishly, actually. So, you know, I was quite keen to get married myself. So.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
Were you?
Yeah. Anyway, so. No, I was. No. So to go over those 2 points quickly with me and Becky, like, at first I thought, I don't believe in marriage as a thing to do, as in, like, you don't need to do it, like, everybody, you know, you need to go to uni, then you need to do this and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, no, I like you, I want to settle down with you, and that's good. I don't need all this stuff. And Becky was quite a little bit upset about it. And I was like, you know, well, I'm not just gonna change my mind and just get all into it because you're upset about it, because then that would be even worse than, you know. So I've got principles, and I think and feel about things that might be different to you, and that's fine.
And then I changed my mind.
And as soon as you were like, yeah, that's actually fine, I was like, I'm gonna marry you now. It was like, you know, I don't like being
told what to
do, basically. So we got married, and then we had to talk about starting a family.
Yeah.
And I remember it well. We were having a walk down Cardiff Bay. I remember the car journey and everything. And you said, we were talking about family, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely, you know, I would love to have kids, but I think we need to talk about it properly. And you went bananas. You did not like it at all. And I was just
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And I said, you know, we just got to, like, you know, look at, like, what we're doing career-wise and this, that, and the other. And, you know, I was trying to be sensible about it, because, like, I see so many people. I see a lot of people that have kids and I don't really think about it, and then it doesn't turn out the way they thought, and then it's not nice for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't live with myself if I brought a human being into the world and something out of my control, even, like, you know, the relationship broke down or something terrible happened, and then there's this kid in this horrible negative situation and it's my fault. I literally couldn't live with myself if that happened. And I was just saying, like, you know, let's talk about everything, because this is a big deal.
Life.
Like, No, I'm well up for it. I want to get excited and talk about like teaching them sports and doing all this stuff and all the cool stuff and all the sort of generic, get excited about having a family stuff. But I did take it really, really seriously, thinking about like, And
I was just like, no, let's go. Boom.
You were like, no, you thought, no, but you thought that, and like me digging into it a bit and thinking about it and talking about it was like a way of saying no, but it wasn't.
You guys sound quite similar to us. So we always say that Tori's the impulsive one and I'm the one that kind of works the stuff out behind the scenes. And actually we'd get nothing done without both of us. Because if Tori was all in charge, we'd end up with a house we couldn't afford, a house full of puppies, like
50
loads
goats
of
in the garden.
Kayaks all over.
Yeah, all of the stuff, like literally every hobby, like every day it's a different hobby that she wants to do. If I was in charge, we wouldn't do anything because I think about things too much. So actually a bit, so you sound like us in the case that actually it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Me and Becky grew up very differently as well. Like Becky's family and upbringing and everything is a lot different to like what I did. So when she references things and she thinks about stuff and when I do, they're not the same picture. Do you know what I mean? When you like look.
Yeah, I totally get that. When you've grown up in a situation that's not as nice, you do think you want different, don't you? You want better. So yeah, 100%.
It's just different. I mean, like I'd be seeing my dad on the weekends all the time, and then it'd be a bit of, sometimes a bit of friction like between my mum and my dad, and I look identical to my dad as well, which probably doesn't help. Like honestly, like it's weird. Like when I've been in to see him at work before, and like some of the secretaries look like they've seen a ghost, like when they see. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of stuff that you got to think about. But obviously, like, I don't want anyone to listen to this and think, oh, that's a downer or negative, or whatever. But like, if you don't think about it a bit, then you might be being a little bit silly, right? Just, it's a big deal having a family. It's
a person's life, isn't it? And if you can give them the best foundations possible, then that's the best footing to set off on, isn't it?
I think I always say people that go through IVF are probably the people that want it the most, because you're willing to go through the ups and downs so many times in some cases. You reaffirm, don't you, that this is the journey that you want to take. And it's not always going to be easy. So I think credit to you guys for kind of sticking at it, really.
Yeah, definitely.
We've literally probably picked the worst time to for this to happen. And it's really upsetting. Like when we see people ignoring the rules and sharing misinformation around and saying that like it's all a hoax and all this stuff, like the coronavirus, obviously we're talking about. It's impacting us because our treatment is being delayed because of it, because of all the resources being redeployed. And I sound like a broken record because I've said on the last couple of episodes, but I'm going to say it again. Like it's, I think it's selfish and it's wrong to go around spreading misinformation and saying stuff like it's all a hoax, it kills, it's fine, it's just the flu, I'm not wearing a mask, because those people are kind of like stopping us from having a family on the schedule that we were meant to.
Yeah. So going back to February, sorry to
no, but have you guys been impacted at all? Like, have you had dates, IVF things pushed back or moved around?
We kind of, so obviously we kind of had that discussion in February to get the ball rolling. The clinic was shut up until about May time.
Okay.
We've had it pretty easy, haven't we?
Touch wood,
yeah. In terms of,
so you guys are like really at the beginning of the process then?
So we've had we've had an egg retrieval, we've had one failed transfer.
Yeah.
So we had
that's all right.
So yeah, we've had, I think we hit pretty lucky, like you said. So as soon as the clinic opened, we were quite easy to get in, because at the start, your appointments are 10 minutes, 15 minutes, going to be scanned. So that we were really easy to kind of slot in. I think the only thing is is going in together. So we were able to get into the retrieval together and we were able to go into the transfer together. But apart from that, I mean, on our first appointment, we saw a lady in the waiting room come in whose wife or girlfriend was having the retrieval, and like it can be it's intrusive, it's painful, it's worrying, obviously. Just being in that hospital environment. And she was just sat in the car. So our first experience, our first appointment was just seeing this woman like saying, "Is my wife finished? She's texted me, but it doesn't make any sense. So is she all right?" And she wasn't allowed to see her. So we realised from that we sailed through really luckily. We're quite grateful of how ours went. Yeah. But apart from that, no, because we came into it by the time we got in, didn't we wait for a while? So yeah, we were quite lucky.
So
I don't think we covered I think we've jumped ahead a little bit, but like what, so like treatment wise and stuff, like the plan or what you guys are doing to conceive, like I don't think we touched upon that.
We kept on interrupting.
Yeah, we kept going on down sidetracks and stuff.
So in February, I assume, Chrissy, if you are the thinker, were you the one like researching the clinics, or was it like a two-way thing?
No, because at the start of lockdown, I was redeployed to a different job, which was in an emergency hub. So I was just out the house, and Tori's school was on lockdown. So it actually worked out. So Tori had found the clinic. We knew we wanted to go somewhere slightly different, so that our thinking was we didn't want our clinic to be in our local area, because if it didn't work out, we didn't want to pass that and have that. Yeah. Plus, our options are quite limited up here. So we knew we were going to have to travel in Manchester. So you found the clinic, didn't you? Yeah.
So just to clarify for a very simple-minded person like myself, you were talking about starting a family for a while, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've just been talking about it for a bit, and then the first sort of proactive choice and action you sort of started making was this year. You started getting information on clinics, and then you made an appointment for one in March. Is that right?
February.
Yeah. So it was kind of like there's a range of different kind of processes, I suppose, for same-sex couples. Options. So I think initially it was just, what are our options? Yeah. And that was the initial, I suppose, kind of phone around of different clinics. Yeah. And then wanted it to be a little bit of both of us. And I think that was probably going back to the previous point about coming out and kind of wanting to be a mum. I think one of the early thoughts of mine was, how can I be a mum if I'm in a same-sex relationship, and how does that work? And so the path that we've chosen to go down is it's called shared motherhood, reciprocal IVF. So in theory, it's the my bun, so my egg, Chrissy's oven, Chrissy's womb. So that's kind of that process.
Yeah, I saw a post that you did about shared motherhood, and I mentioned to you earlier, like, it's such a cool term, but I think lots of people might not have heard about it. So, like, how does it work, and is it sold to you through clinics as that, or like what? Tell us more about shared motherhood, because I like it.
Yeah, so it's reciprocal IVF, isn't it? I can never say that word. Yeah. I think if I say it wrong in an appointment, they're going to say, sorry, like, you can't be a mum. I don't know what your procedure's called. So it's kind of like, if you imagine the full IVF journey that I guess you'll go through, if you can imagine that split in half. So there's like, you kind of hand the baton over a little bit, don't you?
You split it in half, but double the hormones.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
imagine that.
Yeah. Imagine, like, it's bad enough having like one period in a house. Imagine having two but at the same time.
You're a lucky man, Fuzz. You're a lucky man.
And then set it on fire.
I don't know. Becky's probably got about 4 periods worth per month.
Yeah, just set it on fire with more hormones and like more cravings.
Wow.
So yeah, so they did the egg retrieval, like the preparation for the egg retrieval for Tori, and then the preparation for the transfer for me. So there was a bit of a crossover.
Yeah,
we've gone down the egg donation route as well.
Yeah.
So because kind of my womb was all right, it was in good shape, good nick. We had the option there to share my eggs. So on egg retrieval day, they retrieved 16. So it was literally split down the middle, 8 for us and then 8 for a donor as well. So
That's really nice.
Kind of worthwhile in that sense as well.
Yeah, that's so lovely because it means that someone else can like benefit. And like we've heard so much about people not being able to conceive at all, and like you have on one half of it have to access a donor for the sperm.
100%.
Yeah, and that was the thinking, because somebody's helped us with the bit of science, so then it's that pay it forward thing. So yeah, and we kind of, you know, some people wouldn't feel really uncomfortable with that, but if you can, you know, like we obviously are of the opinion that the parents are the people who bring the child up, so Tori isn't the parent of that. I'm just the donor. You're just this kind of the same way as our donor, so it was nice.
I think it's really lovely, and I also think that's what's so special about, you know, two women going through IVF together in that way. You've mentioned reciprocal. Is that the right word?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've like, I mean, there's no way that anyone can experience you like going through the hormones and the injections and all that, but you've both had a taste of that and been able to understand and literally feel like what the other is going through. So you must have been such, even though you were probably like hormonal nightmares to each other on some days, I bet, but other times you were like, oh, isn't this shit? Like,
this baby was almost from a broken home before it was even born, to be honest.
I can imagine like the arguments we have before we've even been through any hormones at my time of the month are mental. So I can imagine what it's like when stims come along.
So for the process, the shared motherhood process, you are still kind of you require a sperm donor. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about like, you know, how you came about that and like the sort of walk us through the process?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've heard of a comedian called Jen Brister.
No,
I haven't watched any comedy for a while.
She's in a same-sex relationship. She's had twin boys, and she wrote a book called The Other Mother. Yeah. And she literally described choosing the sperm donor as like flicking through like an Argos catalogue almost. And basically it's that simple. It's literally you choose your characteristics and you can pretty much. I don't know. It's
like Pokemon. You're like, I want something that can jump high, that's fast.
100%. Well, I only had two characteristics that I wanted. I was like tall and sporty.
Yeah. Tori wanted a Peter Crouch child. And I did so we like, it's hard because actually you never, where it's a weird situation because how far do you go with the like picking and choosing and
ethically it's a bit
tricky. So what we kind of, because obviously biologically the egg is Tori's, so we'll look for some characteristics looks wise that were, because I'm quite fair, I'm fair skinned, blue eyes, so it was quite kind of, so it would potentially look a little bit like us. And you don't get a photograph of the donor just when they're a child, so we found one that actually looked a lot like my little brother when he was little, so that kind of drew me to this guy.
You did sports, you had my vote.
He was sporty. But you actually, like, you physically add it to cart. Like, when I say it's like Argos or Amazon, it literally, and then you track it as well, which is quite strange.
Put your little coupon code in as well, 10%.
Yeah. Well, I wish, but yeah. But yeah, it's really freaky, and we had loads of friends, like as you do, some of them serious, some of them not so serious, saying like, "Oh, we'll help you out, like
I can get you pregnant."
I saw that post. I thought did you like lose any friends over those conversations, or were they?
No, I think
you considered it.
Like, some of them genuinely, like, because they knew they could help and they wanted to, but we knew that would be too messy, like, with too many, actually, and emotionally. But, like, it's just, like, being around a child that you know is yours and didn't know it's theirs, and, you know, what if they didn't like how we were parenting with this step? Like, it's just really complicated, I can imagine, so... Yeah, but it was we tracked it and it went to the clinic, and
it was on a Friday, wasn't it? And Chrissy was worried that it was just going to be left on someone's desk over the weekend, or
oh
it was
no,
going to be put in the back of the staff fridge and then be used as milk. And honestly,
well,
that would be one
it
fruity
happens.
coffee.
People drop stuff. We were talking to someone before, maybe the scientists, and they were saying, people have like dropped material, and it happens. So
it does.
It's not crazy to worry about stuff like that a little bit.
I was speaking to my sister and brother-in-law earlier today, and they were asking me again about progress and stuff, and they were saying that someone in our hometown went through IVF and they were successful, and they got to the birth, and when the baby was born, it was a heterosexual couple, both white, and the baby was born and it was black, and they'd made a mistake.
I knew you were going to say that. That's one of my fears. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. So, but then as well, I think everything worked out. Obviously, he's still their son, but there was like a lot.
Yeah,
of
but you just blatantly use someone else's sperm, haven't you? And then so they're potentially then without sperm, like the actual.
Yeah. So there was huge legal things that went on, but then also following that, they went on to conceive naturally. So how mental is that?
Yeah. We met someone today who did say that was it endometriosis? So like in the process of getting pregnant, it unblocked whatever was blocked. So then she conceived naturally.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
My nan told me that she was trying to have kids for 7 years with no success, and then she had 4 kids after.
Yeah.
And that was like in I'm guessing roughly now. But
was she doing it right?
I don't know. I don't want to get into it with her, like. So,
we should ask her. Maybe I'll have a conversation with her when you're not there.
Yeah, so
it's nuts. So, you've been through a cycle, and sadly, that embryo didn't take for whatever reason.
No, it didn't transfer.
Have they talked to you about why, or have you had like an appointment following it, or
no? We're just waiting for it. It's in a couple of days.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Yeah,
it's good that you get seen. Is this NHS as well, or is this?
No, I think we'll be waiting for forever up here. It's just
there's not where we are. There's not a clinic for quite like the geography. I think we'd be waiting quite a while. So we decided that's our priority. And I'm 33, so. Not that there is any rush, but to keep under the 35, we just decided to go, that's our priority. So we decided to go private.
Yeah, definitely a very attractive option, isn't it? Like, especially with all the strain on the NHS at the moment.
So,
100%.
If you've got some some eggs in the freezer, not some.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we've got 3 embryos. So
do you think the next step is that going to be a frozen embryo transfer?
It will be, yeah. I think it's kind of obviously on the day of the negative test, we're a bit like, I kind of wanted a little bit of a break because it was totally kind of all encompassing. Yeah. You wanted to get back on with it straight away, and I think it's just by the time cycles happen and things like that, it'll happen when I suppose when everything falls into place. Whenever that may be.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because obviously you've been through so much. Like by the time you've gone to your egg retrieval and then your transfer, like it all comes down to that 2-week wait as normal, like with your natural cycle, and that 2 weeks of like, so much pressure on that time, and so much energy has gone into all of it. It must feel really horrible. So I'm really so sorry that it didn't.
Oh no, that's right. Everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? So yeah, it'll happen eventually. And
yeah, we kind of just said like we've just got to think that's like a couple trying once.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to conceive, like it just sucks that we can't. Like we could try 3 times in a year, and that could be a couple doing that 3 times in one night.
It's just a really expensive.
It's just really expensive and really long. But we'll laugh about it. Like we're trying to move house, so there was lots of jokes around like you're trying to get out the heavy lifting, and now you're going to have to lift, and like. Oh. So yeah, I think you have just got to. One of the things we did. So the weekend after we got our negative, we deliberately did things that we wouldn't have been able to do if it was positive. So we drank a lot. went to the comedy club, which was
Who
quite
did you
like.
see?
It's like local comedians.
Yeah, it was with it being kind of COVID.
that.
They just kind of kept it local. What was her name?
The Northeast. Laura Patterson.
Laura Patterson.
Oh, cool. No, I'm a bit of a comedy nerd myself, so I'm always on the lookout for new talent and checking people out. So
there was a funny Scottish guy. What was his name? Gary Little.
Gary Little. He was really good.
The Northeast is a amazing breeding ground for like comedians as well.
Yeah, the Stand is where we went. So
there's a couple of comedy clubs, but yes, and then we went to Go Ape and threw ourselves around the trees. So yeah, but you've just got to like kind of laugh, but not laugh, but you've kind of got to find the positives in it, haven't you?
Yeah, I think for me, I just kind of put it in a box. Like had a day, been a bit emotional, put it in a box, move on. Quite pragmatic in that way. So it'll happen. It'll happen when it's meant to happen.
Yeah, definitely. So you've got 3 more tries on this one, and then will you, if like, well, yeah. Are you gonna?
What's the next step? Like, what is the next try? Is that?
Are we kind of getting that? If those 3 don't work, where do we go then?
No, I was gonna say because you've got 3 more goes. Are you gonna keep swapping, or will it always be you, Chrissy, having the transfers?
I think I don't know what their process is, so until we speak to someone, I think if you have 3 tries unsuccessfully, you then go through for some tests.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, they've done all the tests they can do around to make sure it will implant.
Yeah.
But I think we don't really know. I think with me being the older one, I really would like to carry. But if it doesn't happen, then we'll have that conversation then. Yeah.
And I really don't want to carry, so it's ideal.
Yeah, that's good, because it's nice that you both know that you want to do that. So it's just,
it works out.
It works out, like you don't
have
to
it's
like
quite
argue
lucky
about
actually,
it. Or
And so the current status, as it were, is like your second attempt is coming up.
Yeah, incoming.
We won't know because I think it's individual. Like when you read things, it's all different, but they'll probably sometimes they'll make, depending on what's happened, they'll either make you wait 1 cycle or 2 cycles. So we've got no idea what.
And they'll adjust the hormones as well a little bit sometimes.
Oh, so we'll have to watch this space following your appointment, which is
absolutely
definitely.
That's cool. What else was I going to say? I was going to come back to it having, you said, as a same-sex couple, like in your area. Is that because of postcode lottery? Was it like there's not, when you said that you went privately because you just wanted to get on with it, was there going to be like a long referral time for you, or?
Yeah, looking into it, I think particularly the one in Newcastle had quite a big waiting list.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit impulsive, if I'm honest. So I think for me, I just wanted to get the ball rolling. Yeah. Especially once my friend kind of gave us a little bit of a push.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of waiting. So again, credit to you guys, because it's
we haven't got a choice, really.
Waiting between appointments is bad enough.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to think of all the other ways, like, because I'm the same as you, like, getting really bored.
Getting
and
a
I'm
loan
like,
basically
Fuzz.
would be the only way.
Yeah, maybe we should do egg donation.
Yeah.
Maybe
but
we should look into getting finance or a loan. And my cogs
it's so annoying because we're right on the cusp of it. Though we were literally meant to start treatment. We were going to start
in April,
treatment in March, April.
Yeah, March.
All I can say to you guys is like, just try and find, like, if you'd started it in April, it might be that you might have had to go through some treatment singly, like one of you sitting in the car. Like, I know it's really difficult, but just think about that lady that we saw, kind of like.
Yeah.
Hopefully that might be your preference. Like, that would be your preference, sitting in the car having snacks, wouldn't it?
I think I think it affects Becky a lot worse than me, because ultimately, I just think you just can't do anything about it. So I don't want to make it worse. Yeah, like I've got so, which is weird because obviously everyone's different and everyone's got things that they're affecting. It's not like I'm better at it than you. It's just like I can somehow kind of switch it off and be like, okay, I've, like my entire year worth of work just got cancelled. So I'll like, okay, I'll switch that off for now, and I'll worry about how I'm going to put food on the table.
Yeah.
Which I still haven't got an answer for at the moment. Like, is things are just nuts, but and then I'll switch that off, and I'll be like, I'm running out of things to switch off, like things, know. But
if it's outside your circle of influence, then it's sometimes not healthy if you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh,
it's tough though.
It's just been really cool to talk to you both and like find out about what you've experienced and your choices. Like, I think it's amazing that you've done your egg donation, and I love that you're doing IVF through reciprocal
shared motherhood.
Shared motherhood.
Is that what it's called?
That's an easier thing to say, isn't it? Yeah, I just think it's really lovely, and it's really nice to hear like a positive.
And we'd definitely like to get you on again, because like there's loads of questions that like I probably didn't think of on the spot, but like it's interesting to sort of raise awareness for same-sex couples and things, because we might not be the best people to advocate and talk about that, because we don't really know what we're talking about, but you guys do. So like you might be, if we got you on again, talked about some bits and pieces, it might help other same-sex couples, like come
absolutely
trigger their thinking a little bit.
No, it's nice, because you hit the nail on the head with that like that judgment comment or that unhelpful comment thing. I think you know that when you're talking to someone who's going through it, all of that stuff's off the table.
Yeah.
Like if I hear one more, like you're young and you're fit and you're healthy, it's bound to work. Like it's like, talking to someone who's going through it, that's not gonna. So I think it's nice just to know, like you said, 1 in 6 potentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also on that same note, the fact that it didn't work the first time for you, I think when we first got referred and they were telling us all about IVF, they were like, well, it's only like a 30% chance of it actually being successful.
Yeah, the statistics were actually, the way you read them initially, you think, oh, that's not very good. But from what I remember about this was that they said something like IVF's got a success rate of like 33%. Something like that, right? But but if you think about natural conceiving, how many times people have to try before they get pregnant, that 33% is actually way better than
pretty good, isn't it?
Than natural conceiving.
Yeah. Well, our natural conception rate is 0.
0, yeah. Oh, well, I'm just glad that science is there now, because if this was, I don't know, when did it start up? Was it in the like 50s that IVF started? Without
I think so.
Without this, you wouldn't have so many choices, and that's the amazing thing about science. And even I imagine egg and sperm donation is probably quite a 21st century thing. Like
but the safe way of like the screening and stuff that goes with it, definitely.
Exactly. Thank goodness it's there, because like if it wasn't, then you wouldn't have so many options, and you might be asking your mate, like you said they offered, and then who knows where you Yeah, so it's really good, and amazing to talk to you and learn about it.
So we're going to basically we'll pop down how people can get hold of you via social media, which is MyBunHerOven. Is that right?
MyBun_her_oven. Yeah.
MyBun_her_oven. If you're watching the video anyway, we'll put it on the screen, and all the sort of comments and stuff will be in the link below. But it was amazing to have you guys on, and we'll definitely catch up with you soon for another chat
to find out.
Thank you so much for having us. Lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow, I'm so glad that Tori and Chrissy agreed to come on and have a conversation with us about their experience with trying to conceive, because
it was good to get a same-sex couple on, because we haven't had any same-sex couples on.
I thought we learnt so much, and it's really interesting to hear about that shared motherhood and the reciprocal IVF, because I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah, one thing I didn't bring up, which I think we've talked about off the podcast before, was that even if they had a sperm donor and one of their eggs, and then the carrier, is that what you call it? The person who takes the egg?
The
whoever carries the child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The carrier.
Yeah, what would you call it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but that parent, didn't you say before that basically like the person who carries the egg,
Their DNA has an effect.
Yeah. So it's not like the actual DNA inside the egg and the stuff, but if that same egg was put into different places.
So basically, with Tori and Chrissy, if they weren't doing reciprocal IVF and just one of them had the stims and the egg retrieval and their egg mixed with the sperm donation and then put it back in them, that same embryo wouldn't be the same coming out of them as it would be coming out the other, because the research has shown that genetics, there's an effect of
so everyone's kind of
whoever's womb it's in affects the actual gestation of the baby and how they actually turn out in the long run.
So it is like a three-parter.
Yeah, it's a completely three-parter. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's just good. They were just good fun to talk to, weren't they?
Really good fun. And I, like you said at the beginning of the interview, like Geordie accents from the Northwest are really good.
They deliberately choose locations for call centres based on accents, and the Geordie accent's one of them.
Yeah, it's really good. One of my really good friends at university is from up there, and I was telling them about a bar she took us to and a famous drink from up there.
Skittles drink,
yeah, it was good. And I mean, we
all
used to take the piss out of each other's accents, and no one could do a Geordie accent properly, but we found out we could. I think we went to a museum or something when we were away together, and we all found out we could sound Geordie if we said "Morty old boat." But that's the only thing I can say that sounds a bit. And to the entire northeast region of the UK, I just want to apologise for that, my wife. But it was please come back. Don't leave on that terrible impression. It was just a thing that we used to say, like randomly to each other. You know how you have in jokes, "Moldy old boat." Yeah. So anyway, just doing your little segue there that you always pepper in when you're doing stuff. What were we going to say? We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. No, we're just waiting. We're waiting. Yeah. Border waiting. But I hope, I hope that you found today's episode interesting. Helpful. And if you know anyone who's in a same-sex couple and is considering the different options that are available, please point them in this direction. To listen to the podcast and learn about shared motherhood, but also to... I think it's probably more applicable to female same-sex couples, right? Yeah. Shared motherhood. It doesn't really work with two guys. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But if there are... Or go and give them a follow on Instagram. If there are... if there is any male same-sex couples out there that would want to come on and talk... Yeah, because that would be a whole extra thing too. Yeah, we know nothing about it. They would have a surrogate, I assume. Yeah, but we know nothing about it, and there's obviously people out there going through it. And if we could just have people on to have a chat, and please drop us messages and just let us know if you're interested in coming on and talking to us, because the whole thing is we just want to share people's experiences so that hopefully this can be a bit of a database for people to find out more. Yeah. Right, well, we're going to leave it there. We've got to get going, get this episode up, and we will see you same time, same place, wherever you get them next week. Bye-bye.